Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan is one of the seminal works in political philosophy, published in 1651. It offers a comprehensive argument for civil peace and social unity, positing the necessity of a strong central authority. Here's a concise review and the 10 most important ideas. Leviathan is a profound exploration of the origins and necessities of political order. In it, Hobbes draws from a myriad of disciplines including history, theology, and physics to build his argument. He delves deep into human nature and, from there, establishes the foundations of political and social contracts. While some contemporary readers may find his arguments in favor of an absolute sovereign daunting or autocratic, his work remains instrumental in shaping modern political thought, especially in the realms of social contract theory and the nature of sovereign power. Most important ideas. 1. State of nature. The philosophy of Thomas Hobbes delves deeply into the innate characteristics of human beings. At the core of his understanding of the natural human condition is the belief that, in a state unregulated by societal norms and legal structures, humans inherently exhibit traits of selfishness and brutish behavior. Hobbes posits that left to their own devices, without the constraints and regulations of a structured society, individuals would primarily act in their own interests, even if it meant harm to others. This absence of order, morality, and collective responsibility would result in a chaotic environment, where the very fabric of human interaction would be characterized by distrust and aggression. Such a state would not be conducive to cooperation or community building, hence making life solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. This bleak outlook underscores Hobbes' emphasis on the necessity of social contracts and governance to maintain order and civility. 2. Social contract. At the heart of societal evolution lies the concept of the social contract, as postulated by various philosophers. To sidestep the perilous terrain of the state of nature, characterized by anarchy and individualistic tendencies, humans instinctively recognize the need for a structured and organized society. This realization gives birth to the social contract, wherein individuals willingly relinquish certain freedoms and rights. In doing so, they don't merely surrender these liberties aimlessly, they trade them for the overarching protection, order, and stability that only a centralized authority, or sovereign power, can ensure. This arrangement represents a mutual understanding. Citizens offer obedience and compliance in return for the safety net against the unpredictabilities and dangers of an ungoverned existence. The sovereign becomes the embodiment of this contract, holding the responsibility to maintain societal harmony, ensuring that the collective good outweighs individual desires, thus preventing a reversion to chaos. 3. Sovereign power. Stemming from the social contract is the birth of the sovereign power. This authority, birthed from the collective consensus of individuals, isn't merely a figure of control but a beacon of stability and order. Entrusted with the paramount responsibility, the sovereign's primary function is to guarantee peace, ensuring that the conditions of the state of nature, marked by anarchy and constant conflict, do not resurface. Beyond this, the sovereign protects the commonwealth, defending not just the physical territories but also the ideals, principles, and collective interests of its people. To effectively serve this role, the power vested in the sovereign cannot be fractured or distributed. It must remain whole and uncompromised, otherwise, conflicting interests could jeopardize the very stability it seeks to maintain. The absoluteness of this power is not a call for tyranny but rather a recognition that for a society to flourish, its governing force must be unequivocal and decisive. 4. Right of nature. Within the labyrinth of human nature and existence, Hobbes outlines a fundamental principle called the right of nature. This intrinsic right suggests that, in the purest state of nature, every individual inherently possesses an unrestricted claim to anything and everything they desire, including the extremity of taking another's life. This unrestricted access stems from the primal instinct of self-preservation and the drive to ensure one's survival, even if it means infringing upon another's existence or rights. However, while this might seem chaotic and unrestrained, the evolution of societies has ushered in a transformative change. As communities form, laws and regulations are established. These societal constructs temper the boundless right of nature, setting boundaries and norms. The raw, unchecked freedoms gradually give way to a structured and regulated existence, ensuring a balance between personal rights and the collective well-being of the community. 5. Fear. At the core of human motivations and actions, fear often plays a pivotal role, especially the profound dread of a violent end. In Hobbesian philosophy, this fear isn't merely an abstract concept, but a potent driving force that propels individuals towards societal formations. The looming threat of harm or violent death in the state of nature makes life precarious, unstable, and filled with uncertainties. In such an environment, the primal instinct to survive merges with this intrinsic fear, pushing individuals to seek out safer avenues. Thus, they are motivated to forge political societies where they can collectively shield themselves from these imminent threats. Within these societies, the establishment of laws and governance structures offers the desired protection. These laws, backed by the might of the sovereign, act as deterrents against violence and chaos. In essence, the fear of harm, more than anything, becomes the cornerstone upon which the edifice of political society is built, underlining the profound need for protection and security. 6. Religion. For Hobbes, the intricate weave of religion and its influence on society cannot be overlooked. Delving into the often complex relationship between church and state, Hobbes places significant emphasis on maintaining a balance to uphold societal harmony. In his view, allowing religious institutions unchecked power or influence can sow seeds of discord and division within the state. Given the fervor and passion that religious beliefs often invoke, disagreements in doctrines or interpretations can escalate, potentially leading to internal strife or even civil war. To preemptively counteract such potential chaos, Hobbes champions the idea of the sovereign's supremacy, even in religious matters. By asserting the sovereign's dominance over religious affairs, he ensures a unified approach to both governance and religious practices. This does not diminish the role of religion, but rather ensures its alignment with the broader objectives of societal peace and unity. In essence, Hobbes advocates for the intertwining of political and religious leadership to avert divisions and maintain cohesive statehood. 7. Representation. Representation stands as a pillar in Hobbesian thought regarding the function and legitimacy of the sovereign. It's not that the sovereign is an isolated entity, ruling with unchecked power and autonomy. Instead, the sovereign, in its essence, is a manifestation of the collective will and desires of the people it governs. Emerging from the social contract, where individuals relinquish certain freedoms in exchange for security and order, the sovereign acts as their voice, their embodiment. This representation ensures that the decisions made and actions undertaken are, in theory, in line with the collective best interests of the populace. Moreover, it lends legitimacy to the sovereign's decisions, as they aren't arbitrary impositions but reflections of a collective agreement. While the sovereign might possess absolute power, it is always anchored in the foundational principle that it serves and acts on behalf of its constituents, ensuring that their interests and well-being are at the forefront of governance. 8. Liberty. For Hobbes, the concept of liberty doesn't align with an absolute, unrestricted freedom, but rather a nuanced understanding rooted in practicality and societal well-being. At its core, liberty, in Hobbes' philosophy, is defined as the absence of external impediments that prevent one from acting as they might desire. It's not an unbridled freedom but a structured one. This means that individuals are free to act and make decisions unless there's an external force hindering them. However, this doesn't translate to a lack of all constraints. When individuals enter into a social contract, they willingly surrender certain freedoms in exchange for the benefits of societal structure, order, and protection. Thus, the limitations or restrictions that arise from this contract aren't viewed as infringements upon liberty. Instead, they are seen as agreed-upon boundaries, essential for the collective good. In essence, Hobbes' vision of liberty is a balance between individual freedoms and the needs of the broader society. 9. Justice. Hobbes' perspective on justice is intricately tied to his understanding of the state of nature and the evolution of societal structures. In the primal state of nature, where there is no established order, governance, or shared values, notions of justice and injustice are absent. Actions are driven by instinct, survival, and self-interest, without a moral framework to categorize them as right or wrong. It is only when individuals transition from this chaotic existence to form societies and establish social contracts that the concept of justice emerges. Within these societal bounds, laws are crafted, moral codes are defined, and a collective understanding of right and wrong is cultivated. Justice, in this context, becomes the adherence to these laws and moral standards. It serves as a measure of actions against the established norms of the society. Therefore, in Hobbes' view, justice is not an innate or universal principle but a construct that gains relevance and significance within the framework of a societal contract. 10. Legitimacy of sovereign. The bedrock of the sovereign's authority, according to Hobbes, is the social contract. This contract, formed when individuals collectively decide to surrender certain freedoms in exchange for security and order, bestows upon the sovereign its right to rule. It's not just might or heredity that grants this right, but the very consent of the governed. In this delicate balance of power and responsibility, the sovereign is entrusted with specific duties, chiefly among them being the protection of its subjects and the upholding of their rights. If the sovereign falters in these fundamental responsibilities, it is seen as a breach of the very contract that granted it authority. Such a breach can call into question the legitimacy of the sovereign's rule. In essence, the sovereign's legitimacy is not an unchanging status but a conditional one, contingent upon its adherence to the principles and promises of the social contract. Leviathan is a thought-provoking work that challenges readers to contemplate the foundations of society and the necessity and role of governance. It's an essential read for those interested in political philosophy and the history of political thought.